intelligence, hopefully next year. So I invited Vahid. Vahid has been working on leadership position for a long time, and dissertation is about that. And now he's becoming much more familiar with the intersectionality of the technology and the social world. Vahid is also a lecturer in Department of Politics and International Relations and affiliate scholar at the Jaffer Center. He finished his PhD dissertation, The New Generation of Political Elites in Iran, in Genealogy, Evolution, and Trajectory, which deals with the formation of political elite and the ongoing tension between secular and religious approaches to leadership in Iran. So his current research in political science addresses both IR and political science. Get them most of his training both field that should be good for him. With a sharp focus on leadership and elite formation and the impact of new technologies on social media, so youth development, generational dynamics, and the broader dynamics within the Muslim communities, especially pertaining to contemporary Middle Eastern issues. So he has published extensively, and I'll break it out here. So you can go ahead and give maybe half an hour, okay. And then I'll open it for questions and answers. So,
thank you so much.
You have to speak a little louder because...
Yeah, okay. Hello, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Mustafa, for this opportunity.
And louder, please.
For coming together at this really busy time of semester. I know everyone needs to submit the grades. Yes, tomorrow, something like that.
Yeah.
I already have some. Okay. So, yeah, this is the topic I have been working on, the concept of leadership and elite making. I have this idea to publish a book on this relation between education and leadership training. So today I try to bring three different concepts together: education or leadership training, the Muslim communities that the center is focused on, and technological advancement with the focus on the internet age and AI age. So I mostly bring some ideas from notions from leadership studies, and I know that we have the best scholars in the Muslim community studies. And also, I believe we can, at the end, talk a little and brainstorm and discuss about the ramifications of these new technologies on the changes we have on leadership and Muslim communities. You know that historically, leadership in Muslim communities have faced challenges, especially post-industrial revolution, where the secular and nationalist leaders took the superiority. However, the digital revolution and now the AI revolution has offered some new platforms and opportunities for Muslim leaders to take back their superiority and reassert itself effectively. So in this presentation, first I will trace the evolution of political leadership in Muslim communities, then discuss the ongoing leadership challenges in the face of modernity, and finally we will explore how internet age and AI have shaped and will shape the future of leadership in the Muslim world. Okay, so let's go deep in history. You know that the beginning of Muslim history is not marked by the birth of Prophet Muhammad or the Prophet Muhammad. It rather starts by the migration of Muslims from Mecca to Medina. So this pivotal migration led to the establishment of the first Islamic community, Ummah, and under the Prophet Muhammad leadership. This historical milestone underscores the significant concept. The essence of Islamic community transcends geographical boundaries. The term migrants, muhajirin, for the Prophet's companions further emphasize this independence from the specific locations. So this notion is crucial as it illustrates that Islamic community is rooted more in collective identity and shared values rather than just physical locales. In Medina, Prophet Muhammad settled and actively built institutions, appointed deputies, and shaped the very first governance system among Muslims. After Prophet Muhammad, the Islamic community encountered a significant leadership crisis that led to the first division in Islam, between Shia and Sunni. Shia believed that Muhammad designated his successor, Ali, but Sunnis believe that Abu Bakr was elected by at the Sarifa Bani Suaid. So this, okay. So this kind of four caliph we have, or the establishment of caliphate, is important because it gives us how in the Muslim community we see the idea of choosing leaders. We have Abu Bakr based on Abu Bakr, Omar, Uthman, and Ali based on different succession mechanism. Abu Bakr was selected by mostly tribal affiliation by a council of Ansar and Muhajirin. Then Omar was named by Abu Bakr, so the concept of designated succession. Osman was elected by a council guided by Omar. So it was kind of incorporating elements of elitism and meritocracy. And Ali was kind of affirmed by both elites and popular support. So it was kind of combination of meritocracy and democratic elements. Okay. So in post Ali, the caliphate nature evolved, particularly during Muawiyah's reign, and we have the concept of force as a idea of taking power. So we have four caliphs or Caliphate for about more than a millennium. Umayyad, Abbasi, and Ottoman Empire dominated vast territories and ushered Islamic civilization into a golden age of prosperity and cultural promise. I'm not going through all the details about these four because it might take a little. You all know that during these caliphate, Islamic civilization reached to the peak. Baghdad became the center of knowledge, and by the different kind of mechanism and institutions, they brought all the knowledge of the time, and like House of Wisdom and Baghdad became the city of learning, attracted most scholars from across the world. All of these empires or caliphs are hereditary, and the political leadership often remained within families, and the governance skills, including military strategy, passed through the different generations. So as we explore the decline of these traditions and these idea of family, especially after the modernity, we see how the Muslim leadership start to decline during the modern era after the first industrial revolution. So let's go to 4 industrial revolution we have had. The first industrial revolution, 1750 to 1850, was a profound shift with advent of steam engines and revolutionized agriculture, mining, manufacturing, transportation, and overall technological capabilities. Then we had the second industrial revolution, 19th and early 20s, that ushered the era characterized by the harnessing of electricity and mass production techniques. And then we have since 1970s, the third industrial revolution, that rise of the digital technology. This period was defined by widespread adoption of computers and the internet, and facilitate unprecedented level of industrial automation and connectivity. The digital revolution continued to evolve into the late 20th century, significantly impacting both personal and professional realms. Now, we are at the beginning of the fourth industrial revolution. This current phase characterized by the fusion of technologies, blurring lines between the physical, digital, and biological spheres. Key technologies included AI, artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, like every device we are using these days, robotics, human-machine interface, blockchain, and other things. So all of these innovations not only enhance machine autonomy, but also create new frameworks for interaction between humans and machines, setting the stage for further transformative impacts across all sectors of the society. So let's look at the impact of these modern era or industrial revolutions on the leadership in the Muslim communities. After the modern era, symbolized by Westphalia, peace treaty, and industrial revolution, a significant shift happened in the idea of family-based political structure, and new institutions like nation-state started. So this transition contributed to decline of Islamic empires like Ottoman and Qajar dynasty. The European military technology advanced. The Ottoman Empire struggled to keep pace, facing numerous defeats from the late 18th century onward, which ultimately led to the loss of territories and disintegration of empire into a new nation-states formed under colonial influence with the artificially imposed borders. Similarly, the Qajar dynasty in Iran witnessed a decline during the Industrial Revolution, losing significant territory to British and Russian force, with European influence growing significantly within the country. The educational and cultural penetration by missionary and colonial groups propagated the notion that Islamic traditions were functioning as obstacles to progress, leading to weakening of Islamic leaders and elevation of Western educated secular leaders. This period saw the introduction of European educators who profoundly influenced the next generation of leaders in Islamic countries, shaping a post-colonial leadership that often embraced Western models of progress and development over Islamic traditions. With the formation of new nation-states, the dissolution of traditional empires, a nationalist ideology gained prominence. Leaders like Ataturk in Turkey, Reza Shah in Iran, Jamal Abdel Nasser in Egypt rose to power, advocating secularism and modernization based on Western paradigm, often at the expense of Islamic identity. This era also saw the rise of pan-Arabism in Arab world, positioned as an alternative to traditional Islamic governance. This transformation had profound implications on political landscape of Islamic societies, shifting from a religiously integrated governance model to a secular nationalistic framework that often sought to marginalize Islamic influence in the public and political life. Okay, as nationalism declined and globalization accelerated, pushed by digital revolution, a significant shift toward Islamic leadership emerged across various regions. This period marked a decentralized media, allowing for greater intellectual and spiritual influence from religious leaders, which in turn resulted in the growth of Islamic movements in Iran. In the 1979 Islamic Revolution happened and brought the religious scholars to power, establishing the theocratic government under Ayatollah Khomeini first, and later since till now Ayatollah Khamenei. This model significantly influenced other Shia communities, particularly visible in Lebanon and Iraq. Hezbollah in Lebanon under Hassan Nasrallah, exemplifies this influence, extended its impact beyond national borders and becoming a symbol of resistance in the region. Iraq saw a transformation in its leadership landscape post-Saddam Hussein, with significant roles played by Sadris and Hakim families and Ayatollah Sistani's influential state-building efforts. Conversely, in Sunni-dominated societies, leadership voids have been more pronounced. In Egypt, the Muslim Brotherhood momentarily filled this gap, achieving political power post-Arab Spring, though their governance was short-lived due to the subsequent military coup. Turkey presents a unique case where the Justice and Development Party, led by Recep Tayyip Erdogan, since 2002, has significantly navigated the complexities of controlling the secular military and establishing sustained Islamic governance. The resurgence of Islamic leadership underscores a broader trend where Islamic leaders have begun to exert influence that transcends traditional national boundaries, largely facilitated by the digital revolution's ability to create ideas and organize communities more effectively. Okay. So, social media and digital technologies initially emerged as disruptive forces that reshape political landscape and societal norms. We have had several cases of this disruption. I believe 2008 election of Barack Obama is one of the most important examples of disruptive, because Facebook at the time helped organizing lots of youth movement, bringing lots of money for Obama and become president. However, the narrative of the social media as purely disruptive has evolved as tech companies have increasingly sought to control this platform to maintain their influence. Significant intervention by tech companies include 2016 US election. Everyone knows about the Russian entities exploited Facebook algorithm to influence public opinion. And the controversial management of content related to different cases like assassination of Qasem Soleimani and recently the case of Gaza war. So all of these cases has resulted different countries, different governments to develop or support alternative networks. For example, in Iran, after recently Instagram, after 10 years was blocked, or China has blocked Instagram and WhatsApp. And China promote TikTok that has been a kind of issue of dispute between US and China recently. So all of this tries to dominance over digital platforms shows that we are kind of going toward a debate or conflict among the nations regarding the superiority of the technologies. So what's happening is that the integration of AI into these dynamics introduce a new layer of complexities, enhancing the capacity of data manipulation and further centralizing control. This technological shift raises significant privacy and ethical concern as tech companies wield unprecedented power over personal data, often without sufficient transparency and regularity oversight. As we continue to understand these issues, the role of government in legislating and regulating digital space remains a critical yet unresolved challenge. The balance between harnessing the benefits of these technologies and mitigating the risk of these technologies is a central question for policy making and societies. Okay, so let's just talk a little about the AI. AI in this current trajectory, generative AI, echoes the early days of social media that marked a kind of disruption. But when we look at it, we see a kind of trend toward centralization. This centralization has led to heightened concern over privacy bias and the amplification of divisive narratives. Tech companies have yet to fully disclose the data sets and methodologies behind AI systems like GPT-4 or Gemini, raising concerns about potential biases in their responses to sensitive topics such as Islam, minorities, and other societal issues. The influence of AI is profound, as noted by some leaders like Putin has said that the mastery over AI could equate to global dominance. Or Elon Musk said that the competition over AI between nations would trigger World War III. The military implications of AI and its impact on wars is important because by reducing human cost of conflict, it might encourage more politicians to engage in warfare because they don't see any human cost. Despite all of these fears, there are emerging signs of hopes. Blockchain is one issue that some argue that it would decentralize control of AI. Additionally, the widespread investment in AI across various nations and companies suggests that no single entity will monopolize this technology, which could prevent the dominance of biased narratives. In the context of the Islamic war, AI presents unique opportunities. For instance, AI could play a crucial role in unifying diverse Muslim communities by standardizing religious interpretations. In Shia Islam, AI could facilitate access to religious ruling by emulating and synthesizing the views of different marjas, thus promoting a more unified approach to religious practices. Ultimately, while AI poses significant challenge, it also holds the potential for foster greater unity within the Islamic world, addressing long-standing issue of fragmentation and sectarianism. By leveraging the AI responsibly, Muslim communities could enhance cohesion and develop a more harmonized religious discourse. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, any questions, please? You can introduce yourself if you want, and then put your question.
Yeah, I can start. I think
Speak louder.
Thank you for your presentation. I think you assume that there is a difference between leadership and political elites, right? Because we have also opposition groups among political elites. So do you think that AI would have the same impact on them to, like, decentralize them, or would help them to get more centralized, or what's the impact?
Yeah, the question of relation between leadership and political elites is kind of confusing, because since the internet age, we have seen more like influencers. And so these influencers become another element in the idea of elites. So when I was writing my dissertation, one issue was how you are bringing these people into your narrative. Because before that, when we were talking about elites, we were talking about people who had power in reality. So power in reality means that you are president, you are in positions. But what if you are just an influencer with 20 million followers? For sure you have power, but it's not power that we defined before. So what I see here that is the definition of leadership and even political elites is changing because of that. And what I'm arguing here is not, we will not have leaders like we have. I believe that AI might be more influential for bringing kind of new leaders, if not be a leader. So it depends who is dominating over all of these devices, technologies. We will have different roles as leaders. So yes, decline of political elites as we defined before, but we will have more leaders equipped with these technologies.
Yes, Christian.
Okay, my name is Hassan. I got my PhD last year. So thank you. My question actually goes back to the AI, issues. So the expansion of AI in various religions, especially Islam, actually is obvious, And according to the leadership discourse in Islamic world, specifically in Shia faith, the religious authorities, I mean the marja, actually, they have always held a high position in Islam, But on the other hand, we can actually import the Islamic teachings into the AI. So my question is that, in the near future, the fatwa and the other issues like halal or haram, the status of a matter in Islam can be actually determined by the AI. So, but how can actually, and it should be a challenge for Maraji, the religious authorities, specifically for people who are less religious. How can actually be solve this problem for Maraji for this, because they will lose their legitimacy and everybody can use AI in order to get their response. And yeah.
Yeah, I got the question. So before that, at least in the Shia communities, what like that, when you face a question regarding the Islam, you go to a clergy in your mosque, or at the best you call someone in one of the clergy's office and said, okay, this is my question, what should I do? Now, you are right. After this, people would go ask AI what to do. And what would happen is that those marajas know about these technologies. So marajas start to train their AI. So before, they had some people answering questions because they know the question, they had the istifta booklet, and all of them answered based on this istifta booklet. Now they have AI that would respond their questions based on what they believe is the correct fatwa. The issue is that after a while, these AIs could connect to each other. And yes, after a while, we would have AI as kind of bringing all of these maraja together and give you an answer that says, okay, you are asking about this question in Islam, you are traveling and you don't know how to fast, how to pray, or other things. And I give you the answer regarding how Maraja think, and it kind of pushed toward a more harmonized answer. Because before that, we have different interpretation of Islam based on the culture, based on ideas together. It's kind of venue for unity because it goes toward mainstream. The issue is that these AIs are not into like a specific or very limited narrow of the Islam. They try to bring, okay, this is what we see among the mainstream marriage, and what I see is that it becomes more and more harmonious. So the general argument I am offering here is that AI could offer the caliph that Muslims missed. It's working as something that could be there and unify all of the ideas among the Muslim communities. The first issue that, or the first problem we have in Muslim communities is the problem of language. I believe more than 10 important languages are among Muslim communities. And they cannot speak with each other. They don't read each other. Those in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in Pakistan, in Egypt, they don't read each other because of the barrier of language. AI would resolve this. Google Glass that is coming, and they have, for this is has the online translation, one of the best ones. So this barrier of language would go away, and all of these people with same idea start to communicate with each other easier. So that's why I'm thinking and I'm arguing that it could be, if used correctly, as a unifying force for Muslim communities, especially at the high rank of religious authorities, as you said, Maraja. This is most importantly in Shia communities, that they are referring to someone. In in Sunni communities, we have this idea or this void that, okay, do we have marriage or not, or what would happen there?
But actually, I think that how they can train it, because it's not about the same idea, okay? Differences between the Shia and Sunni. When you search, I think, related to the Shia thoughts, okay, you see that it's biased, okay?
I am assuming here that it wouldn't centralize. So I am assuming that all of this decentralization attempt would success.
It won't.
Yeah,
It won't be.
yeah, it would be tired.
Yeah.
So Facebook, Google, Amazon, and others would decide what is correct as.
Yeah.
If Muslim community
Yeah,
cannot do something regarding these technologies.
Yeah, because it's based on the algorithm and some other issues. For sure, they cannot actually.
And they would promote more extreme ideas, as they did in social media. Because social media want to trigger your emotions to gain more attraction. So in social media, you face more radical ideas, because radical ideas, positive or negative, trigger your emotions, and you engage. You put some comments, positive or negative, not mainstream. If they promote some mainstream ideas, you wouldn't engage because it's something common. But when you see something proactive, so you try to engage with it, you try to answer it or like it. So yes, if Muslim community just wait to see what would happen, it would the same happen. They would decide that, okay, the extreme interpretation of Islam would be better for engagement, because lots of Muslim communities would try to say it's not correct, and lots of anti-Islamic forces come and say, okay, this is Islam, and this polarization we have would be worse. Sure.
Yes. And then
I just wanted to add the Hassan argument about we have also the different narrative in Islam, like Sunni, Shia, Wahhabism, and do you think we have the same conflict that we have right now in an AI atmosphere? If all the narrative wants to create their AI system, so we have another conflict in AI atmosphere about how Shia believe, how Sunni believe, how Wahhabism believe. So, what do you think about that?
Sure, we will have conflict everywhere, as we have conflict in social media. But the difference is that, first of all, training is important in AI. So, who has more resources to train? And then who can gain the the most population, because this training is not the discussion we had with Mohammed, because Mohammed believed that the main idea is that the source, like let's say OpenAI, that is yeah.
Which man?
Mohammed Humayun
There are many, okay.
Yeah, he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In ISA conference, we had a kind of discussion with Mohammed Humayun, who has been following the AI issue. And his idea was that the main issue is approaching AI, open AI, that is feeding ChatGPT. My idea was that that's not enough. You also need to have force from below, because these people are also training the AI. So AI is not something that just feed from above.
Yeah,
Also from below, you are feeding it, you are training it. So both would work together, and sure, conflicts is not going away suddenly. We have had 1,000 from the death of Prophet Muhammad, divisions and conflicts in Muslim communities. But based on my argument, AI could be a platform for unity, because it gives you some central logic based on the, I can say, majority. It's not like social media that the companies are bringing algorithm or manipulating algorithms to engage you by supporting or bringing more radical ideas. It's kind of a dialect between those people from below and AI. So what I'm arguing is it's different from decentralized AI, not this AI, this generative AI that we have now. I see a phase after that AI would be decentralized. In that era of, or emergent AI, as we call it, in that era of decentralized AI, I don't see those conflicts anymore. It goes toward more centralized ideas based on what people are promoting, not just companies.
Like the social media, we know who has the most sources, and we know who can control AI, like social media. So how do you describe the decentralization of AI rather than social media?
Yeah, because they are different technologies. AI is not some AI would give you a technology that you can decentralize. Yes, for sure, it is really worrisome at this time that we see, okay, it would be a tyranny. They would gather all the power in tech companies. I'm a little optimistic. I think we will have, after this phase of centralization, another phase of decentralization, because this is not a technology that just a company or some companies can have under their control. They cannot do, lots of blockchain activists said, okay, we are going to have all space, and they have. No one can control that. They have their currency, they have started. I don't say it's really happening very soon, but I don't, let's be optimistic that we will have decentralized areas.
Just for that, and then on to.
So, my first question is basically, will AI ever be decentralized? Because I think the AI has sort of follow human instruction and capability to advance, right? I came across an article recently about how UAE and China work together to build a supercomputer, right? Because I see the open AI versus we have the advanced AI in different stages that countries, or I guess people with the higher access have the ability to manipulate and maybe perhaps much stronger out of it, much stronger in these capabilities out of the AI. I think that's my first part of the question. But the second part of it is also, I think, related is that access to AI in general, looking at your brilliant presentations. We have the question or the idea of have and have not, which sort of from industrial revolution to nuclear weapons to digital divide, which has translated into even recently like what's happening in the global south compared to if crisis happening in the global south compared to crisis happening in global north and whatnot, the coverage and whatnot. So what do you see what impact is going to bring this digital device? I know you talked about some countries are investing in different countries, so some may not. No, it may not be like where many countries will have manipulation over it, but I still see that because we look at the level of advancement the AI can go through human manipulations, we're still going to have some having much strong access, and given what states want from IRTV's perspective. So what impact is this going to have if what IR theories really translate states want to do in this case for AI, they are likely to use it for their own power and interest, and in that case, if they're able to manipulate and keep it in the level of what they want, then what is the impact on the access and whatnot, and countries like the global south in particular? What do you see in this?
Thank you so much. Great question. Kind of difficult one. Yes, for sure, we are seeing that states are trying to use AI for their benefit. And as I said, it would have huge ramification on wars as they are using for wars without humans. Sure. What I see is that in the first phase, we would have these states coming together, trying to gain this access to these technologies. As we see, China is investing a lot, sure. But this is good. This competition between states would give some space to other entities. So instead of thinking that just some tech companies are dominating over these technologies, other companies in other parts of the world, Europe has been doing a lot in gaining this technology. So I see that after a while, it become more and more accessible to all people. You might think that I'm a little optimistic or I'm high now, but what I see that AI would help people to become more able to do everything, because automation would give you some ideas to avoid repetition. We need to grade everything, and it's kind of repeats. So AI would help you grade everything because it's kind of happening routinely based on some criteria, can grade for you essays and other things. So the main idea is that AI would be able humans to increase their agencies. The problem you are referring is that when you are using all of these and all of this data gathers in clouds, the problem of clouds and how they are using this big data to manipulate societies, to abuse your the power they have. That's the problem. I believe human being and societies need to address that problem. It shouldn't all of this data gather in clouds. So if we start facing another way, instead of just gathering all the data in cloud, all the data be in your devices. No one can get access to that. And by blockchain technologies, you can avoid anyone hacking that or have access to that. So no one can use that. You know, it's another level of progress I believe we will see, because this situation we have, sure, they are getting in China, based on all of these data sets they have, they can see whoever doing what, or everywhere. I'm not just assuming China is doing that. Every country can do that. But and this is our problem at this phase. But there are solutions for that. If we start pushing governments and AI companies and promoting those attempts by decentralized wave of AI, like try to not gather all the data in the hand of some companies in clouds. I don't know if they can succeed, but I see some lights at the end of it.
Astrid.
Yes, thank you so much for your presentation. When I came, Dr. Sarvi invited me, so there's an AI presentation. I said, oh, great, I am having so many problems with my students. So I came like open-minded. I didn't even know the title of your presentation. So I said, oh, AI in the Muslim world, wow. And my first impression was, he's gonna be so critical. He's gonna open all these red flags and identify all these problems. And when I hear you, I hear you so optimistic and so hopeful. And I'm going to tell you, I want to provoke you, and I want to play devil's advocate. And I want to read some of the comments that you made that raise red flags for me as a devil's advocate. FI is a platform for unity. It's going to reduce extremes, reduce polarization. It's going to increase agency. It's going to unify a narrative, a discourse. And it makes me think, what are the implications? I don't want that world. I don't want a world where there's a unified discourse and a narrative. That world scares me. I'm afraid of it. I don't approve it. I don't like it. But here I hear you, you're hopeful. And that's something positive. And that is a puzzle for me. So please tell me, what are the implications of your argument?
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much for great question. Yeah, different points of view regarding how I am seeing from the lens of leaders. You are seeing from the lens of citizens.
Yes.
Sure. We are going toward a world with more centralized ideas. So I see that these, but it doesn't mean that we are losing our agency. It's kind of both empowering agencies at the same time bringing more harmonized societies, because you are bringing one wisdom, one logic into your life. You know, this is kind of like in a family, you tell there is one person in your family, so knows everything about everyone. He can, it could be authoritative, sure, but it depends how you can give that function to that person. I mean, it's going to happen, like it or not. These technologies are bringing more and more centralized power. The question is how we can manage it. I believe that all of the states are behind regulations. They don't know what's going to happen. They faced a 2016 election. They are behind any procedures and process that they need to do for managing these technologies. But it's going to happen. What I'm seeing is from the point of view of leaders in Muslim community that have been facing divisions, especially since the Industrial Revolution and all of these fragmentation, different nation states, and all of the conflicts among Muslim communities. That's an opportunity for Muslim leadership. For sure, for citizens, there would be some areas for being worried and a fear about how those leaders are going to use that. I believe it might not be person, as we see this. This is the kind of example of that. This is not person at the center of this state. It's AI. The question is, who is dominated over that? That's the regulation we need. That's the way we need to think how we can manage our world after coming this thing in our life, because it would come. Like it or not. Could you avoid social media?
No, I use it.
At first phase, everyone thought, okay, I'm not going to join. But it's everywhere.
Thank you so much. I was a little late. Thank you so much for your kind invitation. My name is Dina Mulukova. I'm from the University of Miami. So very interesting. I assume you're referring to the conference, ISA conference,
Yeah.
right? That's you. So you know AI was dominating the narrative. I don't know if you went to the roundtable by the Council on Foreign Relations. It was very interesting. A kind of what you were referring to, is AI a new tool in an old game of this power dominance in international system, or can it potentially create some unity and be versus a tool rather than an opportunity? I'm also quite intrigued. I have so many questions. I ask you only one. I'm quite intrigued by the role of non-state actors that play in that, right? It seems that again, AI creates a lot of power shift in power dynamics right now. There is a surveillance state in the countries like Russia, China, right? They're supposed to challenge for that. We have surveillance capitalism in the United States that sells our data without our consent, right? That's why we have so many pop-ups. With this rise of these mega companies that decide what data they accept and what data they don't accept, that they kind of decide the codes that they impose on this data, how this data is going to get filtered, trained, and packaged for our consumption. What role do you think non-state actors, such as Google, will play in the future? Would it shift our international system in this potential dystopian, like Magic Max kind of, you know? Or what is your opinion? What the future of AI, and how could it have potential implications on the international system in general?
Thank you so much. Great question. Yeah, I see going more into the world that these non-state actors have more power, because as I argued, states have been behind doing anything controlling these technologies. The United States is still kind of arguing with Zuckerberg about 2016 election and the regulation, and even now, they haven't forced them, any of the companies, to announce that they open data. I mean, we don't know what they are doing, which sources they are using for answering these questions. For example, when we are asking about some questions about Islam, we don't know based on which fatwa they are answering. No one knows, and they are not answering to these questions. So yeah, I see states behind from pushing the companies toward more transparency or following some regulations. They are gaining more and more power. Everyone sees that Google is buying everything. And it is not just Google. So I see that non-state actors in the world we are facing would have more power, sure. But I am not kind of IR expert to see Dr. Mesbah and Dr. Saadouhi and others could answer that, how these states can do that and how the IR would be in our new world of AI. I am not a specialist in that part. Maybe the roundtables, we will need more roundtables for that in next IS in Chicago.
It's just the beginning.
Yeah.
Do you have an opinion on this? Is it the dystopian future, or is it the more harmonious?
More harmonious.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your presentation. To be honest, I have a problem with this argument, the argument of unification, uniformity. Specifically, when we're talking about philosophical thinking, which is a part of epistemological understanding of religions, different types of religions. So when we suppress different types of thinking by unification through these tools, because we know that these tools are inventing for control, no contest. So, and the controllers are those who are capable or more powerful, and still we have a relationship between knowledge and power. Actually, again, we see this relationship between power and knowledge. Who is more powerful? He has more knowledge, data, and control. And so I think this could be, it has a catastrophic ramification for thinking in Muslim world, in general, in the world, in general, because it's trying to uniform people's thinking all over the world. So making standard of the thoughts cannot be a good solution for this big problem, the problem of invasion of these types of technology somehow from the human perspective, from the citizen perspective. Now, I'm not talking about leaders. The leaders wanted to control. This is obvious. So yeah, this is my problem, and I'm looking for a solution for it. I'm not sure if regulations are capable to somehow control these controlling tools in near future, but I don't know what's your opinion about that.
Great question, great concept. But let me ask a question. You all are teaching, and do you see similarities in the essays people or students are submitting? I have a question in my course asking about the Iran's economy.
Mm-hmm.
And the challenges it faces. So 2 years before, I would receive lots of questions, different angles of the questions, sanctions, youth unemployment, boneyards, other things. Now I receive some clear answers, specifically referring to a special result. And I see all of these students are using AIs. So it's kind of giving some, or unifying, what you call it, or the ideas. This is happening. I see this is a problematic, but it would happen at the end of
This is the downside of this technology.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
So,
but the issue is that I mean, yeah, this is kind of, I'm trying to bring agency of people in this, because we see from above that these companies are giving some answers to these questions. But this AI is not something just as a tool. I mean, pardon me for bringing a new wave of AI that I would see coming after this wave of AI. This is just the beginning of AI era, that just some specific companies have gained access to this technology. But I see that it would come as an emergent AI. More and more people would have this technology. So everyone has its own AI kind of trend. You would have your, as I said, for example, Maraja would start having their AI. This is all of my books. This is all. Train them and say, okay, answer all of these questions based on what I am saying. So this is how I see that in the next phase of AI, citizens would have this potential to exercise their engines. Not all people at the same level, sure. In every phase of evolution, we have lost some population. It's not the same, sure. That's why I'm looking at the lens of leaders, because it would be potential for leaders, those who have access to resources, to train their AI. Not everyone can do that. Sure. So.
Yeah, I want to come back to the Islam topics. Yes. Well, if we assume that AI can lead the community, how do you want to answer the sheer idea that the leader represented God?
I don't know how can I answer that question, because I was talking to someone who is deeply involved in it, and he has kind of a startup for image and AI, and he's kind of against all of this centralized AI. And he was arguing that this AI is kind of like the idea of God in Shia communities. So yes, it's complicated because it's symbolized like something centralized, something that at the core of the human knowledge, because it has all of this knowledge from the beginning to now. No one ever has had this knowledge, right? Even prophets didn't have that. Prophets were special because they gained the.
It's a great statement. Be careful.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, even prophets had the knowledge of till their time. So you have kind of a creature that has knowledge from the first, the beginning of their life till now. After a while, not now, but they would train after a while. So, and they would gain knowledge of all this, and they can process it, and they can generate some new thing of that. I see that. I'm not saying that people would accept it as God, sure, not that, but it would be something that people would refer to that, because people would believe that, okay, this knows everything. Google, okay, imagine Google. Everyone, when you have some problem, I do that. The first symptom I have, I Google it. Before that, we would go to the doctor, right? So we are accepting this authority.
I suggest you still go to your doctor.
Yes.
Yeah, but
And most of the time it's most accurate, much more accurate than doctors. When you search in ChatGPT about your problem, medical problem, it gives you much better answers.
Really?
and the problem is, and the problem is AI
I
is
want to.
Actually, there's connective issues.
It's being taped.
a headache,
It's being taped.
I'm a rebel. Sorry.
one sentence. And the AI is not just waiting for your question, because AI is getting all the body data you have and would have the answer for you. So it doesn't ask you question. You know that you have heard that if on social media you see some medicine coming to your explorer, it means you have that illness because they know about that. And I have seen some signal of that. AI would know about that because based on the technologies you are using for your running, for everything, They have all of this data and they can give you better than every other doctor the solution for your problems. That's why I would argue that that's why I'm thinking about the leaders again point of view, because leaders would have better access to these technologies. No leader would die from cancer because they would have all of these data at their hand to gain more and more healthcare services. It was a bold statement again, but I believe it would happen.
Yeah. Yes.
Just, I want to ask something. Okay, well, you mentioned that, okay, for example, the manager actually can have their own AI, okay, but it's not only about the how to feed the AI, okay, dealing with the non-state actors, but what about the programming? What about the coding? What about the algorithms? Is not only actually feeding the AI. That's why if you search the genocide and Israel, and you cannot find anything about it regarding the conflict, this state's conflict. Okay, even the cybersecurity and AI. Okay, so I mean that it's not only about the sources and how to train the AI, but the coding is very important, and they can change everything. And the leadership and the state actors or non-state actors, okay, I think that the coding is more important than the how to feed and train the AI.
Let me just, because I hear the same questions constantly. I think the problem is that you have competing motives regarding this technology. I don't think anybody knows how these competing motives would synergize into one idea. You have states that come into this. Of course, they have, as you said, resources, and they want to control the resources. But it's not only one type of a state, many types of states with competing interests in the states. So there's a competition that all the states have to control this for their own interests, not unified interests. The interests are not unified at all. And then you have the societies below this leadership and states that either accommodate their own state's narrative about things or they don't. So you have societies also at work, where they're accommodating their own government narratives, which most of the time they do, especially on security studies. Regardless of which government is in charge, if they tell you somebody's come to kill you, they listen. Security is a different domain. I believe in that. So you have this combination of state society continuously going on to convince the audience that what I'm telling you is true. So you have that one element. And then you have technology itself that's driving itself. You cannot stop it because it's the nature of it. Even if it's harmful to you, you still do. Nuclear technology was the best example that they knew this was going to happen, but they still did it because the passion of technology itself. I mean, way before that this is what's going to do, but they just couldn't stop the idea of discovery and do it. So that's part of it. Then you have the corporations who control the technology, that they are driven by, let's say, fundamentally money. Otherwise, they don't exist. So you have political economy of this technology is about money. Then you have the intellectual aspect of it, which is about discovery. And the states who want to control their own societies. And then you have something generally called people. They have agents. I think that's why you have to think about what's the impact of this on the current status of the nation state system. Whether this technology is leveling off the borders and the meaning of the borders. And therefore, the study of not nation states, but empires, interesting, where the society lived differently, vast territories, And the government was ephemeral somewhere, but that ordinary people live their own life with multiple systems of interpretation of everything. And you talk about religious interpretation. The most dramatic religious existed even in the prophet's time. They asked people to give me a pen to write something for you, and they refused. So the calamity of the Thursday is the result of not listening to the prophet when he was alive, actually. And that's why we have the division. You know what the Shia Sunni division starts from. If he would have written something, now we have documents. And other people, no, he was just hallucinating because he was having fever. That's what they said in front of him. So you're talking about authority. Authority of the prophet is more important today than it was then, actually, because of the humanism. So my point is you have to understand these three things going on at the same time. And therefore the human agency here, so I share your optimism in some level with the proviso that you assume, and this is, I think, the fundamental ontological problem of constructivism and most post-structuralist thinking, that they assume if you have knowledge, knowledge is almost become truth. And people love truth. They accept truth and they act on truth. That's a major proposition for a secular to say. And the way they have to become theological in their own secular sense. That truth is liberating, truth is different from non-truth. And linguistically is constructed different. I had this conversation with one who came to Miami in 1996. I said, is there any difference between telling the truth or lying? He couldn't make up his mind. Because it's the syntax of the language that dominates, not this essence. There's no essence in that. If you're religious, you believe that there's essence in language. Telling the truth is different from telling lies. Fundamental, ontology. It's a different impact. That become propaganda. The other one remains its authenticity. I don't think any of these people thinking it, because I think the driving force for all of them, the corporations, is money. That's why it's relentlessly pushing. It's almost this automation of pushing. They don't even think about the concept. That's why they're behind. Not because they're not smart. They've been thinking about this for almost 10 years to sit down and think about, who did this? For example, on cyber attacks. It's been going on for almost 10 years. They still don't know how to identify the attacker. Whether it's worth to do it. How do you do that? And so on. So it's a very interesting paper for you to open up the discussion on this. And thinking also on the philosophical term, not only on the question of ethics, but also the question of meaning of life, which become important now. But I just don't see social science as a whole has not a capacity, but even the inclination to go there, because all of a sudden you have to question so many things. The whole social science is based on that you observe the world, you report back, you check and balance at the lab and stuff like that. And here is the truth, and truth is foundation for consensus. We give you a degree, a PhD, now you can talk, and so on and so forth. All of that has to be questioned. And then I think the AI would help that to be questioned in that sense. But again, the powerful has better tools, obviously, to manipulate that. And of course, those who own the technology financially. I think that would be a major contradiction to control it by the state, or actually this is the most democratic because everybody can have it. I think that would be the questions of how the Western countries now are facing a major dilemma, I believe, on normative ground. And that is why I believe the Gaza condition is a watershed condition. It had exposed the entire Western civilization in a significant fashion. And that is why truth could be liberating on agency level. It also could be a source of contention. They were owning this technology in a proper way. So I agree with you that, learning the language, the machine learning, and then having input into it, is a part of, I would say, global resistance against oppression. That AI could help. But it's a tough game because the resources are in the hands of few places so far. But history has shown that technology cannot be owned completely. Ayatollah Khomeini came to the Iran Revolution with the tapes, but most of you even don't have tapes, don't even know what it is. They've never used it. And that was the biggest technology at that time. They would make one tape and fly the person would fly to Tehran with one tape, and then they send it to cities, and everybody would sit in their home with 6 tape recorders, and it's produced them and so on. And now you have the iPhone 15 or 16 can do it for them. So I think you have to develop your methodology of doing this to bring all of this contradiction together. But remaining optimism is part of also producing a world. If you're pessimistic about it, then you're projecting pessimism into the system too. I think the same questions coming out because people are frustrated with this, how this is going to evolve at the end of the day. I just see a major capitalism traditional problem here that you want to have benefit, you want to make money, and you're responsible to your shareholders on the one hand, and that's the global economy, more or less. And if that is shared everywhere, sort of is that maybe not. You are reaching to the boundaries of the problem of capitalism now, I think. And maybe you don't see Miami, but everywhere around the world, they talk about this. That this is not, consuming for the sake of consuming. So the question of meaning, I think, is central to my life. I just don't see the field is even ready. I mean, they tap dance on the questions of intersectionality. I asked this question just on the again, and we had the same non-familiar answer that you have 20 years. Although he's old, I told him he's old, you're older, getting to the end. And he laughed. I said, because when people get older, they think about these things more. So,
Excuse me, just the last point. Actually, one of the most important things which we didn't pay attention to is about the ethical issues. Okay. So I read an article about the AI and cybersecurity, and it says that one of the most important concentration is ethical issues. That's why the machine learning, and coding is very important. And that's why I'm saying that they cannot unify the ideas. And it's maybe the beginning of the way of the challenge between the states or between the ideas. Okay. So if you read the articles about the AI, always they say that the most important thing will be the ethical issues. That's why it says that, it's bias. And specifically about the ideology, about the Islam or the ideology.
Yeah, but I think the potential answer to that is if your motive is finance, and not political control. There's a contradiction between what drives companies.
The machine learning and the coding.
The consumers of this. The consumers are happy with this. Yes. Then whatever your usual states would used to tell you, they don't listen.
Yeah.
That's the positive part of it. And therefore, those who are worried about truth, they have to get into this. You learn the machine and then have inputs into it. I think the other consequence I was thinking about the other day is that it actually could regenerate more legitimacy for the very old-fashioned connectivity. You don't trust this anymore. You need somebody from Najaf to come to Miami and tell you what Sistani said. So the human agency comes back in very significant way, because the control over authenticity becomes very difficult. And therefore you need the carriers, the messages. Again, So that's why the ulama are extremely well equipped. And that's why they are not necessarily panicking. They're panicking on some level. But if you start questioning whatever it tells you to be a lie, and everybody has a consensus on it, how could I trust this? Is it really from 6 times? You know, and then you have a combination of responses to it. And therefore you could have a, you know, the original sources again, reclaiming their space by being material, not software, by being present physically. And I think that's part of the, you can see all this demonstration in universities or whatever. There's a fundamental physicality to it. And no amount of social production of knowledge has worked to prevent this. The dominating the narrative for a long time by some phobia has been. But what you have seen since October 8th is a major transformation. How that control information did not work, will not work. And we actually, if I know this, because I do this, study this, the inability of the state to even know how to respond to it. And then they dig into the old game, and it's worse every day. Even in a individual articulation of the diplomats, you listen to Blinken, you listen to everybody. These are highly educated people. They're completely inarticulate, physically inarticulate, because the truth is now spread in so many ways, and this comes to your optimism. That is a source of challenging that affects even the most seasoned people. I don't know how many of you on daily basis watch the State Department's briefing. It's a disaster. Not because these people are not educated. They are the best of the best, the cream of the crop, right? But the reality out there through this is so blatant that it gives you optimism that one day they have to say something else. Maybe they won't, and maybe they will not. So that's where you are in the optimism, pessimism things.
Or the challenge to mainstream.
Yeah. So, yes.
Thank you so much. That was so beautiful and poetic in a way. You know, I really believe in the question of agency. I think it came up so many times, and I think that's where our role as educators comes in, because at the University of Miami, we use AI in the classroom many times, but we use it not in terms of please write a paper, and we know that you'll be using AI. Let's put the prompt in the AI, and let's all together see how this prompt aligns or doesn't align. Maybe we can critique it, because I think that if we allow students agency in critiquing what they learn, because I feel many times that's how education is framed in general. There is one, again, to your question of power, right? There is one dominant narrative. I'm from Russia. Our history was rewritten so many times, so it's very clear the channel of the control, right? Of the power control. But the same in the classroom. What do we ask from our students? This is what you need to learn. You don't question. If you circle the wrong bubble, you know, you're wrong, you're being penalized. But if we teach them that whatever they learn from the sources that are supposed to be the guardians of knowledge is just a glimpse of what somebody framed from the position that they're coming from, maybe that's how we can teach them the tools in general. And in my opinion, that's what education is about. So I think that's how universities, we do a lot of activities regarding AI, and it's very interesting because students come and they say, well, that makes absolutely no sense. You know, I completely disagree, it makes sense, but let me look at it from different point. I think that's how you learn.
Okay, one point about the competitions over superiority. Regarding the question that Dr. Boise asked, I don't believe, I see that in near future, everyone would have access to this technology. The only problem is that is not software, is hardware. I mean, the competition between Iran, between the US and China over the chips and Taiwan. So yes, this is the only thing I see that might be problematic, hardware. But regarding software, I don't see is as a kind of monopoly. I see that people, I mean, not people, states and other companies would have access to this technologies. The question is how they can gain or gain attentions or attract more people to that. But it's not something that states would kind of do that. The United States now wants to push the Gen Z to Facebook and Instagram, but they don't. They're using TikTok. So this is not something that a state exclusively can channel people to use this kind of technology. If you provide, and here we are talking about more than 1 billion Muslims. If you provide better technologies for them and you convince them that this is better for your value, for your culture, for your interest, you would have more opportunities to gain
You're
superiority.
talking about content.
Yeah.
But not technology. And content is important stuff. So
Sure.
Muslims are pretty behind because they're very late to this and
Yes.
also being bombarded
Mhm.
for post 9/11 with negativity. So the machine is already biased, not
Sure.
because the machine wants to lie to you, because that's what the information is.
Yeah, because content is biased.
So the
Yeah.
content is biased. So the content is a different story. So that's what they have to.
But-
get into
but-
that. My second, a broader point is, which is far more philosophical, whether when you have the trusted information, available, will it change you or not? Or there you have to make a decision. I'm going to, because my interests. Many states, many leaders know what they care giving to people is not true.
Mhm.
But not telling the truth is part of the whole exercise. I think that's the key question, and that is why, and that truth telling is connected to another philosophical concern about shame. Because when you know this is something wrong, there is an element of shame in life. So that those concepts, that's what Gandhi was so big on, that you have to shame people, and or you have things in them that kicks shame in. What you see right now, the manifestations of complete shamelessness in the behavior of the states, openly, overtly. I think that's contradiction is a downfall of the states. Optimistic.
Yeah.
Because there is a large number of people down there that they love the truth. And they embrace it. And then they tell you, what you're telling me is not true. Or you could have an idea that the masses will also embrace the non-truth as identity making means. And that's also we see 87% of the Israeli public think this is not being done more. Because the controlled information is there, it also feeds into that, or the Russian public say this way, Ukrainian this and so my point is, I don't have an answer to that, but if you want to be optimistic about the future, then you have to be optimistic about ontology. The truth is liberty. And therefore, there's a difference between linguistic exercise and constructivism. If it's truthful, it's not. But I don't think social science can tell you. I would allow themselves to say it is hard to say something that the essence of language will change if the language carries truth or false. Constructivists can't tell. Postmodernists can't tell. So I don't know how, and that's why content becomes such a significant thing. Yeah. I suppose the younger you are, the more susceptible you are to truth. Thank you very much.